The account reads $2 million, and you don't feel anything. That is the part nobody warned you about. Not the number, but the nothing. The cold blue light of the monitor reflects off your glasses in the dark room. Silence is heavy like a physical weight on your shoulders. You still have the sticky note on the corner of your screen from 3 years ago. Yellowed paper with blue ink, slightly crooked handwriting. It says $10,000, don't lose it, you wrote it at 3 in the morning. The night before your first real trade, when $10,000 was every single penny you had saved across 4 years of a salary that barely covered your rent and a car that needed repairs you could not afford. Back then, losing felt like a tragedy that happened to other people. You remember the specific clean fear of someone who still has something to lose. That fear was your compass. But now that feeling is gone, you are not sure when it left or which trade finally killed it. The first trade took you 11 days to place. You had the account open and the platform loaded every single morning. And for 11 days, you closed the laptop before clicking confirm. Not because the analysis was wrong, but because being right meant your life would change. On day 12, you placed the trade $10,000 into a leveraged ETF tracking the S&P 500, a macro bet on a Federal Reserve pivot that you spent weeks studying. When the trade went up $340 in 6 hours, you didn't sleep. You felt a voltage in your body, a current you didn't know you could carry. The first 3 months taught you the most brutal lesson of the market. The market does not care how hard you worked or how much you need the win. You spent 40 hours analyzing pharmaceutical data and modeling outcomes, only to lose $1,200 in an afternoon because of a false rumor. You sat with that loss for a week, studying the lesson, not the money. The lesson is that the market is not a test you can study for. It is a chaotic system that occasionally rewards preparation and occasionally punishes it with identical indifference. The traders who survive are not the ones who study harder. They are the ones who stop needing the market to be fair. You stop needing it to be fair. Somewhere around month 4, a $900 loss began to produce the same internal response as a $900 gain, a brief notation on your spreadsheet, a recalibration of the model, and then you move on. By month 7, the account hit $34,000. This is the moment most people fail because they think of the number as money. They want to buy a watch or a vacation to prove they are winning, but you stopped thinking of money as currency. It became fuel. It became inventory. It became the raw material of the next execution. You became a monk of the process, living in a minimalist reality. The $34,000 becomes $180,000 over 14 months. The mechanics are less interesting than the suppression of your soul. You developed a rhythm that people read as confidence, but you knew it was something colder. A trained death of the emotional response to risk. Your friend Marcus asks you at a party how you are doing it. You talk about risk management and position sizing and staying small until the setup is perfect. He nods, but he doesn't hear you. He opens an account with $5,000 and loses it in 2 days on a meme stock. You don't say anything because you already paid that tuition years ago. There is a difference between knowing the rules and having paid for them in blood. The account crosses $400,000 on a Tuesday morning in February, a position you held for 6 weeks. Finally breaks through resistance. You watch the numbers climb in real time like watching water boil, $400,000, and your hands are completely steady. That steadiness is not composure, it is the absence of the human element. By the time you hit 600,000, the nature of the game changes. The numbers are large enough to mean something to everyone but you. Your girlfriend asks about the future, about stability, and what this looks like in 5 years. But underneath every question is the one she is too afraid to ask. Who are you now? And is this the person I agreed to be with? You don't have an answer that makes sense to someone who doesn't live inside the charts. The account crosses 1 million in March, and you tell no. 1. You sit at the desk looking at the $10,000 sticky note. You are looking at it from the other side of a distance that has no name. The thing you were chasing and the thing you caught are not the same shape. By September, you are at 1.4 million, and the machine starts to glitch. Not because the system failed, but because you decided to override it. Impatience is a quiet, dangerous ghost that sounds like confidence. You held an oil futures position for 11 weeks and it moved sideways. You got tired of being right without being paid fast enough, so you doubled the position size against your own risk model. You lost $180,000 in 4 days. The thesis was right, but the timing was wrong and the sizing was a crime. But because you still had 1.2 million, you thought the loss was acceptable. That is the moment the trap was set. The idea that a massive loss is survivable is the exact thing that makes it fatal. The account hits 2 million in January, a number with its own gravity. You stand at the kitchen window watching the city move with indifference. The week that ends, everything starts on a Monday with a Federal Reserve statement. Unexpected language and aggressive implications that hit your leveraged positions like a hammer. By Tuesday afternoon, the market is in a full repricing event. The system starts calling for margin, clinical and mathematically inevitable. You deposit $60,000 from your old savings to buy one more day. On Thursday, the market opens lower, and the call is even larger. Closing the positions means losing everything you built for 3 years. And for the first time, your discipline and your ego point in the same direction. You treat your bias as confirmation instead of a warning. Friday morning, the broker calls personally. He says you have until 10 a.m. to deposit $340,000. You don't have it liquid. You say the words that end the story, close them. $1,786,000 gone in 6 days. You sit in the silence of your office for hours. The spreadsheet is open, but you cannot bring yourself to type the final row. You started with 10,000, and you have 214,000. By the math of the world, you are a success. But as you close the laptop, you realize you didn't just lose money. You lost the version of yourself that knew how to care. 3 weeks later, a kid in a forum asks how to start with 10,000.